welcome to Narayana IAS Academy. My name is Shubham Sagar, and today, as always, we'll be taking 5 news articles from Hindu and Indian Express of 2nd August 2024 in our daily news analysis, that is DNA. If we talk about the first article of the day, which is on Hindu page number 8, propelling the UK and India story, here we'll be understanding India-UK relationship and its different dimensions. FTA, India-UK FTA has always been in news, but this particular article is more than that, and we'll be delving into it. If we talk about the second article of the day, which is again on Hindu page number 8, and this is about money bill, a verdict on the money bill that India awaits. Here we'll talk about a specific case known as Roger Matthew case, why it is in news, how this particular case is important to protect our federal structure, and the subsequent Supreme Court judgment. We'll be having a detailed look at that. If you talk about the third article of the day, which is on Hindu page number 9, this is about state transfer. States are, after this budget has been announced, states are complaining that center is not favoring the non-NDA states. We'll have a look into that. We'll not go into the political domain, but we'll try to understand the different mechanism related to center-state fund transfer. If we talk about the fourth article of the day, which is on Hindu page number 10, here we'll talk about something known as pumped storage project. Very interesting concept related to energy, related to environment, and here we'll try to understand the importance of renewable energy, how we are adding renewable energy to the grid. If we talk about the last article of the day, which is on Indian Express page number 17, sub-classification of SCs and STs, and this is not a single article. This particular news has been covered by Hindu and Indian Express in different articles. We'll try to understand the gist of this whole issue, why sub-classification of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are needed, how there are certain categories inside SCs and STs which are enjoying maximum benefits of reservation, and how we need sub-classification just like we do it in OBC criteria or category, right? After we are done with these 5 articles, we'll solve 5 prelims practice question and 1 mains practice question, because as we have discussed before, practice makes a man as well as a woman perfect. So let's get started. If we talk about the first article of the day, this article is about India-UK relationship. And why we are talking about India-UK relationship, we'll talk about the context as well. So India-UK FTA has always remained in news for one reason or the other rather. But here this article is much more than India-UK FTA. Here we'll be talking about different dimensions. Generally what happens when you are giving UPSC mains and you're writing essay. So they say that you have to follow a particular analysis, which is known as pestle analysis. Pestle analysis means whenever you're writing about a particular topic, you will try to write the political dimension, then economic dimension, then social, then technological, then anthropological, then legal. Then there are different other views as well. Similarly, here when you're talking about UK-India story, FTA is just one part of it. You have to talk about the economic dimension. You have to talk about the health dimension, science and tech dimension, intellectual property related aspects. Then what is happening when it comes to services or migration? Then there are different terms here, like immigration. And immigration, this is immigration starting with E. There is another immigration which is starting with I. There is a difference between these two terms. We'll talk about it. If you already know it or we have already discussed it, you can post it in the comment section. What is the difference between immigration with an E and what is like immigration with an E and immigration with an I? Fine. So what is the context here? Elections have happened in both the countries. And even if not elections, then the changes have happened. In our country, elections have happened. Narendra Modi, sir, he has won a 3rd consecutive term, but the number of seats have reduced, right? Coalition government has formed. Similarly here, if we talk about UK per se, Sir Keir Starmer, he won a landslide victory in United Kingdom. So that's why these elections mark a new chapter. We are focusing on this India-UK FTA to be that should be formalized as soon as possible. At the same time, we also talk about something known as 2030 roadmap. And this is a prelims related aspect. They can ask you this, that 2030 roadmap is related or associated with which 2 countries? And then they can give you India, UK, India, US, India, Russia. So remember this keyword, 2030 roadmap is associated with India, UK. And here, the 2030 roadmap, as the name suggests, we are and India and UK together, they are framing some ambitions which they have to attain by 2030. Improvement in trade, services, all these aspects we are talking about here. So currently the bilateral trade is around 39 billion pounds. This is a symbol for pound, not dollar. And mutual investment employing around 8,000 people, means 800,000 people rather, that is 8 lakh people. So these are some numbers. Whenever you are writing any answer, you have to substantiate it with facts. And these are the facts which you have to keep in mind. 39 billion pounds, the bilateral trade, and the mutual investment is employing around 8 lakh people. Then we have, as we keep on talking about, when it comes to investment per dollar in R&D, India is doing very good. There was a joke also earlier that we sent missions to different like moon and like Mars we are planning and all these things. And the amount of money which we spent, that was equal to the money which Hollywood people spent in making a movie called Gravity or something. There was a movie which starred Sandra Bullock. So the investment per dollar, what we are getting in return is much, much better compared to other space agencies. And this can be leveraged by British space agencies. India offers the best return on investment per dollar spent on R&D globally, exemplified by ISRO's achievements. So ISRO is not only a national achievement, it's an international achievement. And even like the different satellites given by developed countries, they're sent to ISRO for launching because we are launching it at a much cheaper price. All these things can be leveraged by UK, and that's how a mutually beneficial relationship can foster and develop as well. So British companies are committed to manufacturing in India, but here there are policies. We have Make in India policy. We are trying to protect our industries also. Then there are some tariff and non-tariff barriers. All these are some concerns raised by different British manufacturing industries. So that's what we are talking about. A supportive tariff and standards regime, fair taxation policies, and regulatory treatment ensuring parity for all investors are essential. So we have sometimes this British companies, they will be saying that India is adopting a protectionist policy. But we have to protect our industries also. So somewhere down the line, we have to maintain a balance. And that's what we are striving for. We, both these, like India and UK, they are striving for that particular balance. Healthcare and education partnership. So development of malaria vaccine. UK and India came together and they played a crucial role in the development of malaria vaccine. Again, this is a fact which will help you in substantiating your answer. Enhancing UK clinical trials in India and sharing healthcare research could be beneficial. Again, if you go back and rewind previous DNAs which we have done, in the previous DNA only, I think, of mine, we have talked about biosimilars, biologics, generics. And we have talked about how there are different companies like Novartis in US who are very concerned about the generic medicines and sometimes the R&D which they have done on their medicine. And so much money they have invested, and then we make a generic version which is much cheaper. So here also, there are certain issues related to the intellectual property, the proper clinical trial. And again, all these apprehensions has to be taken care of by both India and UK. So UK investment in sustainability, technology and climate financing are significant. Collaborative efforts with Indian universities can offer world-class higher education in India. You may have heard about this particular point that none of our educational institutions, higher educational institutions features in top 100, top 200. But here we can collaborate with UK university. We can learn from them. They can also learn certain things from us. Like NEPTEL is doing very good here. And all these things, we can do a collaborative effort. And again, Indian industries or universities rather can strive to be better. And that's what we have to strive for rather when it comes to world-class higher education in India. Defense and security. Again, here also Make in India is playing a prominent role. And UK's defense market share in India is only 2.5%. So UK can tap our market. But the major caveat or the major obstruction here is, for them is India's domestic manufacturing initiatives. We are trying to promote that even in defense sector, we will be promoting the indigenization process. But again, there was a debate which was going on in one of the articles that indigenization should not be compromising or shouldn't be compromising India's defense and security. So we have to be very, we have to maintain a balance here as well. And UK's defense market share in India can increase with further collaborations. So UK's mature defense industry can support India's goal because we import a lot of arms. We need a lot of equipments when it comes to and different machineries when it comes to defense and security. So yes, UK's mature defense industry can support India's goal as indicated by Defense Minister Rajnath Singh's successful visit to UK in January 2024. So all these areas, these are different dimensions. Even if you forget one or two facts, that doesn't matter. What matters here is you should be knowing about these dimensions. So what is happening in the economic collaboration area? What is happening in the healthcare sector? What is happening in the defense and security sector? What is happening in the mobility and immigration sector? Like most of the developed countries, they have an issue with our country, India. So goods, when it comes to export and import of goods, they are very happy. But when it comes to export and import of services, when it comes to immigration of our people to their areas, then they are very apprehensive. So they should be opening our market like we have opened our market for them. they should also be opening their market for us. And that is sometime a contentious issue between not only India and UK and other countries as well of the West. So mobility for students and skilled professionals is crucial for building trust and confidence, signaling to Indian investors that UK is welcoming. Around 350,000 visas were issued to Indian nationals in the past year for work, education, or as dependents, highlighting the importance of this living bridge. And more needs to be done because this is again a contentious issue between India, UK, India, Germany, India, France, India, US. You may have heard about like H-1B visas. They are on hold. In Canada also other issues are going on. So yes, export and import of good is fine. Export and import of services, we have to have a lot of talks with these countries. Intellectual property and investment, we have talked about this. How when UK is doing clinical trial, they are very apprehensive about India's generic medicines and everything because they involve or they invest a lot of money in R&D. So intellectual property and their protection is a key area of discussion between India and UK. So British investors are interested in co-creating new IP, intellectual property. And again, if you want to understand the difference between these patent, trademark, and again GI tag, copyright. So I have made a separate video. You can go to the live section of our channel and you can like get that particular video and watch it. So yeah, optimizing ease of doing business, such as shorter approval timelines and transparent government approaches is crucial. And we need to have a talk regarding all these generic medicines and how much they are TRIPS compliant and how UK does not need to be very wary of them. So all these talks have to be done. So what is the conclusion? The potential for a deeper UK-India economic partnership is vast, but it requires efforts from both countries. And it can improve lives globally also because, again, UK-India relationship, it goes long back. The colonial legacy is still somewhere there in our country. For good or for bad, we can argue about that, we can debate about that. So India is a significant economic story and it is an opportune time for collaboration as emphasized by Prime Minister Modi's statement on deepening friendship leading to mutual prosperity. So hope you have got all the different dimensions related to India, UK. Do remember 2030 roadmap associated with which two countries? India, UK. If we talk about the second article of the day, this is one of the most interesting article you may have read in the last 6-7 days. A verdict on money bill that India awaits and how money bill has been allegedly misused, the provision of money bills. We have to talk about that. Different Supreme Court judgments we'll talk about here. We'll talk about the constitutional provisions related to money bill and what is the issue here. And this, like, once we are done with this article, all the issues and debates and controversies related to money bill, and there is a specific case which is known as Roger Matthew case, that will be clear. So previous question regarding money bill, which of the following statement is not correct? So these kind of questions have been asked. The answer here is C, because appropriation of money has to be done from Consolidated Fund of India. Don't worry about it. Let's focus on the issue at hand. What this article is all about. A 7-judge bench of Supreme Court, they will be soon addressing questions. They will be giving a verdict on what qualifies as a money bill because there is ambiguity regarding what is a money bill. We'll understand it when we are seeing different provisions of Article 110, Article 110. So 7-judge bench rather. Let's focus on the keywords here. Constitutional bench, because when we talk about constitutional bench of Supreme Court, it should have 5 or more judges. Since it's a 7-judge bench, so it's a constitutional bench, right? The case will affect India's federal structure. Why we are saying this and the balance of power? Because generally what happens when there is a normal bill, it has to go through both the houses. But when Lok Sabha or the government is passing any bill as money bill, then they have overriding powers. Lok Sabha has overriding powers. So somewhere down the line, people are saying that when you're passing most of the bills or major bills as money bills, you are bypassing Rajya Sabha, you are affecting India's federal structure, you are undermining the opposition to a certain extent, which has a further say or which have a significant say rather in the Rajya Sabha. Hope you're understanding some bit of it. Once we are done with this article, almost all the doubts which you have in your mind will be cleared. So background is, November 2019, there was a verdict, Roger Matthew versus South India Bank Limited, which challenged the Finance Act 2017. So as the name suggests, Finance Act, it should deal with finance, money-related matters, and there are other definitions also. The issue here was, this Finance Act 2017 was certified as a money bill. Again, money-related matter would have been there, but no, the issue was not that. The Finance Act 2017 was making extensive changes to the authority and jurisdiction of tribunals. You may have heard about tribunals. SCAT, Central Administrative Tribunal, NGT, National Green Tribunals. So we are changing the jurisdiction of these tribunals. We are changing the authority of these tribunals. How are they part of Finance Act? How are they part of money bill? So people were very perplexed. And then Roger Matthew case, we'll talk about what happened here. Hope you're understanding this. Is this a money bill? By what account, when you are changing the administrative authority and jurisdiction of tribunals, how it is coming under a money bill? How you are disguising Finance Act 2017 as money bill? Those were some of the questions posed by the skeptics. So now let's understand what is a money bill and what are the constitutional provisions which cater to money bill. That is actually a very important point here. So Article 110, Clause 1, Article 110, Clause 3. Remember Article 110, it deals with money bill. List subjects that can qualify a bill as a money bill, including taxation, borrowing, and appropriation from Consolidated Fund of India. So if there are three funds, you have to understand. You also have some portlies, we say, where you keep your money. So government has three such portlies, three such funds. So Consolidated Fund of India, Contingency Fund of India, and Public Account of India. And this is your homework. And if you're knowing something about them, you can post in the comment section which articles of Indian Constitution deal with Consolidated Fund of India, Contingency Fund of India, and Public Account of India, if you have any idea. So Article 110, Clause 3 gives Lok Sabha Speaker the final say. So who will decide whether a bill is money bill or not? Speaker. Generally, who elects Speaker? Who has a very final say in determining Speaker? Speaker is generally from the ruling party. Again, ruling party, government. So all in all, government is playing a very, very crucial role in determining whether a bill is money bill or not. And here, some people are saying that the power of Speaker is being misused to a certain extent. So issue with the Finance Act. We have just talked about it. It included provision affecting tribunals beyond the scope of a typical money bill. This is a judicial, quasi-judicial body, tribunals we're talking about. How is it related to a money bill? That was the question which was going on in many people's mind. So the Act made substantive changes which included altering the functioning of tribunals and granting excessive rule-making power to the executive. Again, the question will be coming in your mind also, how is this a money bill? When you are changing the functioning of tribunals, which is a quasi-judicial body, how is it related to financial matters or money bill per se? So Roger Matthew case, petitioners argued that the Finance Act 2017, which was making changes in the functioning of tribunals, was a misuse of money bill process. It is in no way related to money bill. And the 5-judge bench of Roger Matthew case, they constrained and they were like, no, previous rulings have been done and we are constrained by them. We are limited by them. Plus, even if you go back to Article 110, Clause 1 or Clause 3, nowhere you will find a specific term related to like what is a money bill. There is an ambiguity. So this Roger Matthew case, 5-judge bench, they were like, no, we are constrained by previous rulings and found prior cases that have like, there is no standard. There is no straightforward definition of what is a money bill, and it is a prerogative of Speaker who will decide whether a bill is money bill or not. So we cannot do anything more about it. That was what was the verdict of Roger Matthew case. And again, people were a little perplexed, and that's why they went to Supreme Court, and now 7-judge bench will be delivering verdict on it. What was the previous precedent? If you go back to Roger Matthew case, they were saying that we are constrained by previous ruling. So what was the previous ruling? There was a K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India case. Don't mix it with the right to privacy case of K.S. Puttaswamy. Here the court upheld that Aadhaar Act as a money bill despite its extensive provision beyond mere financial matter. Just like Finance Act, which was dealing with the altering the function of tribunals, here we had Aadhaar Act again, which were dealing with provisions beyond mere financial matters. And even in this case, court upheld that, okay, Aadhaar Act can be taken as a money bill because again, it is a prerogative of Speaker to decide whether a bill is money bill or not. So Roger Matthew case was in a way bound by these kind of previous cases. So now, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, he is saying that when you are passing many or major bills as money bills, what you are doing, you are undermining Rajya Sabha. And Rajya Sabha is very much important because it reflects India's pluralism and it prevents unilateral legislative changes. So using money bills to bypass the Rajya Sabha undermines the federal structure and democratic checks and balances. So what is the conclusion? Whatever verdicts Supreme Court gives, it has to be very mindful of that because a ruling allowing unchecked use of money bill could threaten the foundation of Indian democracy by compromising the role of Rajya Sabha in legislative oversight, and we should be very mindful of that. If we talk about the third article of the day, now it is an article which has political connotation. Budget has been announced. State governments are saying that central government rather, is very unfair on non-NDA states when it comes to transfer of resources, transfer of money, transfer of funds. So we'll not go into the political domain here or the political acquisitions here. We'll try to understand the state transfer mechanism, how money or resources are being transferred from center to state. What is the basic mechanism involved here? So these kind of questions related to debt, related to money, deficit, questions have been asked by UPSC earlier. So what is the context here? Following the union budget, there has been controversy regarding the fairness of resource allocation from center to state. Finance Commission, they have some, they determine resource allocation, how much money, how much taxes will be going to states. But that is not all. There are different grants. There are discretionary grants, statutory grants, all these things, how money will be divided, how resources will be divided. And states are saying that NDA states are getting a favor from center rather than non-NDA state. That is the basic gist of this article. But again, as you can understand, it has political connotation. We'll try to understand the points which are more important from exam perspective, UPSC perspective. Opposition chief ministers have accused the center of discriminating against non-NDA states, leading to their boycott and walkout from a Niti Aayog meeting. And this raises question about whether the center's approach to state transfer is biased or not. And that is again a debate for, people can debate about it. Let's focus on the areas from where UPSC or other exams will ask questions. What are the mechanism of transfer from center to state? So tax devolution. So whatever tax, direct and indirect taxes, central government collected. So the money, the portion of union tax revenue to be shared with state will be based on the recommendation of Finance Commission, Article 280, dealing with Finance Commission. 281 pertains to recommendation of Finance Commission. This is important from exam perspective. These constitutional provisions are important from UPSC perspective. So what is the process? Finance Commission, a constitutional body under Article 280, appointed every 5 years. We have even talked about 16th Finance Commission, how they will be coming into picture. What are the areas they have to focus on? Different terms related to Finance Commission. So again, you can revise the previous DNA videos. So determines the percentage of tax revenue to be shared with state and the criteria for distribution. Center then transfer the share to states accordingly. So this is one. Then there is grant. Please understand the difference between grant and loan. So if you're taking loan, you have to pay the loan back, principal plus interest. But grants, you don't need to pay back. So here Finance Commission grants. Apart from tax devolution, the Finance Commission also recommend grants to states that may be needed to address fiscal imbalances. So there are some states. There's an acronym for some states, that is Bimaru state. I have not given it, you have not given it. Some other people have given it. Bimaru states. Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, which have high fertility rate and which have, the state economy is a little bit vulnerable. And that is also, there are different criteria, income distance criteria. Based on all these things, grants are given. So the process here is the Finance Commission assesses the financial needs of states and recommend grants to those facing revenue deficit or special needs. And not only these Bimaru states, northeastern states, like hilly area, vulnerable states, which does not have enough opportunity to generate resources on their own. So there are different criteria here. These grants are given to support states in achieving financial stability and addressing specific challenges. Revenue deficit. So when states have revenue deficit, as the name suggests, that their revenue expenditure is more than their revenue receipt. In that scenario also, there can be a need for these Finance Commission grants. Then centrally sponsored scheme, central sector scheme. Central sector scheme, almost 100% money is given by center. Centrally sponsored scheme, center is giving 60%, 40% is contributed by state. Some, like northeastern states, hilly area states, 90-10 is also a criteria. 90% given by center, 10% to states. So center funds specific schemes or projects that states implement. These are often for national priorities like health, education, and infrastructure. So center provides funds for these schemes and states are required to implement and manage the project. But not all funds. You can see there is a ratio here. There's a matching contribution from states or 60-40 ratio, even 50-50 ratio is also there. 90-10 is also there. And center monitors the implementation. Then there are discretionary grants. We have seen Finance Commission grants. Then there are discretionary grants. These are grants that the center provides. Here, they don't need a recommendation, not based on a specific formula or criteria set by the Finance Commission. This is based on the discretion of center. And here, the whole controversy erupts. The non-NDA states are saying that when you're giving these discretionary grants, which are not based on the recommendation of Finance Commission, here you are favoring more the NDA states. Again, that is a political thing, but we have to understand that and we have to move on. We don't have to jostle too much over that particular fact. So center decides on these grants based on political or developmental considerations, which can lead to uneven distribution across states. Now there are some cesses and surcharge also. What is the basic meaning here? These are additional taxes levied by the center for specific purpose such as education or health. Revenue from cesses and surcharges collected by the center and generally not shared with states. This system has been used to raise additional funds while keeping them outside the divisible pool of tax revenue. Generally, not always. Please keep this in mind. Revenue deficit grants, we have seen revenue receipt expenditure scenario. So these grants are provided to states that face a revenue shortfall despite the tax devolution. Finance Commission may recommend. So what we are trying to understand, the mechanism of transfer. How money is going from center to states, what are the different mechanisms involved here? And the most important mechanisms which you cannot forget here is the first one, like the tax devolution. Finance Commission, which articles, constitutional articles deals with it? Then Finance Commission grants. What is the process involved here? Then here centrally sponsored scheme. Some money will be coming from center, some will be coming from state. Central sector scheme, all money will be coming from center. So these are some of the keywords. In Hindi, we call it choti choti magar moti baatein. So these are some very important keywords which you have to focus on when you are talking about this particular article per se. If we talk about the fourth article of the day, again here there is term. This article is important more from pre-perspective, but again you can use the data of this particular article for means as well. Pumped storage project, budget 24-25. They have talked about this pumped storage project, which is very interesting. When you see their application, how pumped storage project work, you will realize that, okay, this is actually a very interesting or fascinating phenomena. So these kind of questions, and again, this is also related to renewable energy. There was a debate on whether hydroelectric power or hydroelectric project will come under renewable energy or non-renewable energy. And that is a debate. Smaller will be coming under renewable, higher will not be coming under renewable. People keep on debating about it because they say that even in higher hydroelectric projects or big dams, some amount of methane is released. So again, that is a matter of intense debate. Will not go there. We'll try to focus on the keyword here. That is pumped storage projects. Smaller hydroelectric projects, they are considered under renewable. There is no debate on that. On higher or the hydroelectric power plants or projects which are producing higher megawatt or gigawatt of electricity, there the debate starts on whether it is renewable or non-renewable, and which is a very, very fascinating debate, but beyond the ambit. We don't have to focus much on that. You should be knowing about the debate per se. So what is pumped storage? So let's try to understand this via a image that will help you in understanding this pumped storage. So generally what happens, even in our house, there is a peak time. Like in the evening, we use electricity the most. And in the daytime, if it is a winter, we'll not be using it unless or until you are using heater or curly irons or whatever. So there is hope you're understanding this. There is a peak demand. So pumped storage is based on the concept of that peak demand. Let's try to read this and we'll try to understand the diagram. So pumped storage is a method of storing energy by using two water reservoirs at different elevations. Let's again go back to the image. So there is a lower reservoir where you're storing water. There is an upper reservoir where you are storing water. Great. Now, during periods of low energy demand, it happens every day. There will be a period where you will be needing higher energy. In the nights, you're using AC and etc. Excess electricity is used to pump water from the lower reservoir to the upper reservoir. So when there is low energy demand, so what they will do is, they will use the electricity to pump water from, and why they do it, you will understand it. So when there is low energy demand, electricity is there. Using that electricity, saying water will be transferred from lower reservoir to upper reservoir. Now, when there is peak energy demand, then what will happen is water will be sent from upper reservoir to lower reservoir at a very high velocity. Kinetic energy will be used. That will be used to rotate turbines and to generate electricity. So that is the whole concept. When low energy demand is there, water is transferred from lower reservoir to upper reservoir. And when there is peak energy demand and you want to produce or you have to produce electricity at a higher pace, you will just release water from upper reservoir to lower reservoir at a higher velocity, kinetic energy, rotate turbine, generate electricity. So this is the whole concept, which is a very fascinating concept. When energy demand is high, the stored water is released back down to the lower reservoir, generating electricity through turbines. So that is the whole concept of pumped storage project. What is the need? Again, energy storage. Variability is a major issue when we even talk about solar energy or wind energy. So this is taking care of the variability. When low energy demand is there, we are preparing ourselves for the high energy demand. And when high energy demand is there, we are producing electricity at a higher pace. So energy storage stores surplus energy generated during low demand periods for use during peak demand types. And rapid response can quickly ramp up or down to meet sudden changes in energy demand, preventing blackouts. We have blackouts. We used to have blackouts that have reduced somewhat. But again, there are some surveys and some news reports which are coming that blackouts will increase in future. So this pumped storage project will be preparing us for such blackouts. Renewable integration facilitates the integration of a higher percentage of renewable energy into the power grid. India's current experience and progress on pump storage. So currently we have 3.3 gigawatt of pump storage capacity, and 76% of India's pump storage capacity is coming from Telangana and West Bengal. They are doing very good in this regard, and other states will follow suit. But these are factual figures. You should be keeping a tab of this, because when it comes to India's renewable energy goals in UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, so we have set some goal of 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel power by 2030. And if we keep on increasing the pump storage capacity, it will help us in attaining this 500 gigawatt goal of non-fossil power by 2030 rather. So hope you're understanding. So almost 3/4 of pump storage capacity is coming from Telangana and West Bengal. So what is the conclusion? This pump storage, hope you understood. The basic gist behind this article, which is basically written from the prelims perspective, is to understand how pump storage works. If a question rather comes in mains also, you have to make the diagram. You have to show the lower reservoir, upper reservoir, and you have to show what happens during peak demand or lower energy demand. So it is crucial for India's renewable energy strategy, providing a reliable method to store and manage the variable output from wind and solar power, ensuring a stable and sustainable energy supply. So here we are also trying to link this project to wind and solar powers, and thereby will be ensuring a sustained and stable energy supply. If we talk about the last article of the day, again, a very fascinating article. A recent Supreme Court judgment has come. And just like we do sub-classification in OBC category, sub-classification will be done now in SC/ST categories as well. What is the need for that? This article deals with that, and we'll try to understand it. Various articles today have come on this sub-categorization of SC and ST in the Supreme Court judgment, and we'll talk about it in detail. So this reservation, all these things, the questions have come earlier as well. So what is the context here? The Supreme Court of India recently ruled that states can create sub-classification within the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So what is the basic argument? 6:1 judgment it is. 7-judge bench has given the ruling. Now again, it's a question for you. You have to tell me, and you have to post in the comment section if you know it. If it is a 7-judge bench, is it a constitutional bench or non-constitutional bench of Supreme Court? What is the justification for creating sub-classification? They are saying that just like in OBC category, there are certain people or certain sections which have enjoyed much better benefits compared to the other sections. Similarly, here also in SC/STs, there are certain communities inside SC/ST who are well off, and there are some other communities who are not enjoying the benefits of reservation, who are very backward. So we need sub-classification to understand which categories under SC and ST are well off and which are not so well off. This sub-classification is the need of the hour, and we'll take some data from this article to substantiate this fact. So what is sub-classification? Sub-classification refers to division of a larger category into smaller, more specific groups based on distinct characteristics or criteria. Approach aims to ensure that affirmative action, which is the other name of reservation, in education and employment are more equitably distributed. Within SC/ST also, if there are certain communities which are well off and other communities which are not so well off, then obviously you need to give reservation or more protection to those sections inside an SC and ST rather, who are not well off. So that is what this article is talking about. That is what the Supreme Court judgment is talking about. And by recognizing the internal diversity and disparities within ST and ST categories rather, sub-classification seeks to provide targeted benefits and protection to those who need them the most. Example, statewide. Now let's we have given some theoretical points. Now let's substantiate it with facts. So there are states, they are total SC caste. Maharashtra 37. Prominent or dominant SC communities which are enjoying most of the benefits are Mahar and Matang. Other communities are not so well off. So again, you can understand here the other SC communities who are not enjoying or who are more backward. So they need more protection. Rajasthan 59 SC caste. The prominent or dominant SC communities are Meghwal, Bairwa, Jatav. This is important again from other perspective as well. You need to know from where these communities belong. That can also be asked in UPSC. Chhattisgarh 44 total SC caste, Bairwa and Raidas. These are the dominant SC communities. Other are not so dominant, not so well off. Tripura 34, the prominent or dominant SC communities are Das, Badhyakar, Sabatkar, Sarkar. So you can understand here 44, dominant are 4, or 34, dominant are 4, 44, dominant are 2. What about the other 42 communities in Chhattisgarh? What about the other 35 SC caste in Maharashtra who are not so well off? Don't they need more protection? That is what this judgment is talking about. So now there have been different judgments related to this particular issue only. So E.V. Chinnaiah versus State of Andhra Pradesh 2004. They said that no, SC and ST should be treated as a homogeneous group and we don't need any sub-classification because that would violate right to equality under Article 14. Then Davinder Singh versus State of Punjab case, which is 2020 recent case, it said that no, there are inequalities within SC/ST categories which we are seeing from that different state data and there is a need for reconsideration of E.V. Chinnaiah decision. What is the legal framework or what are the legal frameworks? 341, 342 of the Constitution empower President to notify certain caste. So again, they can ask you which articles empower President or who notifies certain caste, President, Governor, etc. So the answer is President. And these lists can only be amended by Parliament. Then 15 clause 4 allows states to make special provisions for advantage or advancement of socially and educationally backward classes rather, including SC and ST. 16 clause 4, here we are talking about different constitutional provision. Enable states to provide reservation in public employment for any backward classes of citizen that is not adequately represented in the services under the state. So, recent ruling, majority opinion, this particular judgment, 6:1. What they are saying? 6 are saying that yes, we need sub-classification. Then there is one dissenting opinion by Justice Bela Trivedi. And she is saying that no, such sub-classification could lead to further fragmentation and discrimination within SC/ST communities. The 6-judge bench who gave this favorable opinion, they recognize that not all groups within these categories are equally disadvantaged and that targeted measures are needed to uplift the most marginalized among them. So we have done the 5 articles. We have talked about the 5 articles. Now it's time for solving some questions. And I keep on telling you again and again, 5 questions, prelims questions, whatever you're getting correct or wrong, post your answer in the comment section, 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5. That will generate a habit. And habit is necessary. Discipline is very much needed. So hope you people become disciplined and post your marks in the comment section even if it is 0 out of 5. First question, revenue deficit. When your revenue expenditure is greater than your revenue receipt. So which statement is saying that? See, revenue deficit is when a state's revenue expenditure surpasses its total revenue receipt including grants and taxes, indicating a shortfall in covering day-to-day expenses. So the answer is C. You can pause me when you see a question, like you're seeing a question right now, pause it, then solve it and then unpause me. Primary objective of sub-classification within SC and ST. What is a primary objective? So here the answer is to ensure that affirmative action policies are more equitably distributed among the most marginalized and underserved communities. Even within SC and ST we have seen there are certain communities which are more marginalized than the others. So the answer here is C. If we talk about the third question, under Article 342 of the Indian Constitution, who has the authority to notify certain tribes as scheduled tribes? I have told you this. When we are talking about that article, I have told you have to be very aware. So the answer here is President of India. If we talk about the fourth question regarding money bill, again you can pause the video here. This is a long question. Read all the options. Article 110, Clause 1 lists subjects that can qualify as money bill. Then they have given different criteria. Article 110 clause 3 grants Rajya Sabha the final authority. No, not Rajya Sabha, Speaker. So second, just eliminate second, you get the answer. C, 1 and 3. Even if you don't know anything about third statement, you will be able to solve this. Finance Act was challenged in Supreme Court on grounds that it included provisions affecting the authority and jurisdiction of tribunals which went beyond the typical scope of a money bill. C. Fifth question, India currently has 3.3 gigawatt of pump storage capacity. Again, this is a factual question. Even if you get this question wrong, don't worry about it. Nearly 76% of India's pump storage capacity is in Telangana and West Bengal. Both the statements are correct. The answer is C, both 1 and 2. Now, means practice question. Discuss the significance of the UK-India partnership considering recent political developments and economic collaborations. Highlight the potential areas of growth and the challenges that need to be addressed for a successful bilateral relationship. This was the first article. We have talked about the significance. We have talked about 2030 partnership, what they are talking about, 2030 roadmap. So here you can talk about all the things, economic collaborations, and what are the areas where we can improve a lot. And there are different areas, education dimension, health dimension, malaria vaccine, all the points which we have discussed in the first article, you can use it here. Introduce the context of recent political developments in India and UK. Elections, like Narendra Modi sir has continued, but the situations have changed, like what has happened in UK. So again, this is the context and importance of 2030 roadmap, strategic framework to enhance the bilateral relationship. 2030 roadmap, keyword associated with India-UK relationship. Then you can talk about the economic collaboration, British companies, manufacturing in India, And then strong India's return on investment in R&D. You can talk about ISRO here. All these points, whatever we have discussed earlier, right? Then healthcare and education partnership. You can talk about different, like malaria vaccine. We have talked about clinical trials, UK's apprehension related to generic medicine, etc., IP protection, defense and security. How there is so much potential here because UK's like involvement in defense sector in India is not that much, so that can be increased. Mobility and immigration issue. Trade in goods is fine, trade in services, we need to talk a lot more. Intellectual property and investment. So all these points you can discuss, whatever we have discussed in the first article. Summarize the potential benefits, and you always need to write, whenever you're writing an answer, intro, body, conclusion, you always need to write a conclusion. Sometimes people may feel like the time is very less, so let's skip intro and conclusion, let's directly jump to the body. Don't do that. Even one line of intro, one line of conclusion will suffice, but you need to write intro and conclusion. So highlight the importance of addressing challenges such as regulatory hurdles and trade barriers to unlock the full potential of 2030 roadmap. Fine. So that's it for today's DNA video. If you like the video, do like, share and subscribe. Please post your marks in the comment section, whatever be that marks. Don't feel bad about it. Even if you're posting 0 by 5, that will develop a habit which will help you in the longer run, right? Take care. Be blessed. See you soon.